Welcome back to All Talk. I'm Kevin Dietz, 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-WJR. A legal battle has erupted between Michigan accident attorney Stephen Gursten and Cure Auto Insurance. It reportedly began when Gursten wrote a critical blog post about Cure, questioning whether it was a good option for Michigan drivers. The post led to a cease and desist letter from Cure's lawyer accusing Gursten of defamation. Gursten refused to take down the post and instead responded with a letter defending his right to free speech. Eventually, Cure filed a defamation lawsuit, which Gursten countered with an aggressive media campaign, including a critical website and billboards. Now Cure is filing a second lawsuit in federal court seeking damages and an injunction to remove the website and billboards. Joining us now is Steve Gursten, attorney at Michigan Auto Law. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Well, it seems like Cure may be getting the opposite of what it was hoping for. It's getting more attention as it fights to take down an original blog post that probably not as many people saw as are hearing about the story now. But how did this all get started? What made you want to make a blog post in the beginning?
Yeah, the Streisand effect is alive and well with this, because if they hadn't sued me, the blog would probably be buried on page 4 or 5 right now, and no one would be seeing it, right?
Right.
But what happened is, so I've been writing actually about different insurance companies as an auto accident and insurance lawyer for well over 10 years, and every year I give the consumers and the driving public, the insurance companies, that from what I see, because I have a very unique perspective, because I basically see how they treat my clients and how they process claims firsthand. So I give the ones that I recommend, and I give the ones that I basically tell people you may want to stay away from. I write a lot about consumer protection and driver safety issues as well. This is the first time I've ever actually not only gotten an incredibly nasty letter from a general counsel telling me to cease and desist, but then it led to the lawsuit. But what I wrote about, I was very concerned. So Cure came to Michigan from New Jersey just a couple of years ago, and they're already ranked number 3 in consumer complaints in Michigan, even though they're basically brand new to the Michigan market. 76% of these complaints involve how they handle claims. According to sworn testimony from one of their own representatives, they're literally canceling their own customers after they're trying to make claims for help at an average of about 1.5 people per day. And what I think is actually worst of all is that Eric Poe, who's the CEO of Cure, is getting on TV and doing interviews where he's basically telling consumers that the reason your agent is recommending higher no-fault PIP limits or unlimited coverage isn't so you can protect your families if, God forbid, something terrible happens and people can get the medical care they need, but so these agents can make more money with higher commissions. And that's so misleading, and the consequences of that could be so devastating that I wanted to write a blog about them. And that's, and then we had this lawsuit where they, sadly, I think they're trying to intimidate me. I think they're trying to suppress this truthful information that is all publicly sourced and factual. And they're using the lawsuit as a tool to try and hide truthful, critical information they don't want the public to hear. And apparently their lawyers never heard about the First Amendment or free speech when they went to law school either.
Before we get down into the free speech issue, I do you mind spending a couple of minutes on this catastrophic injury situation? Because people have to opt out or in. It's confusing to people, I think. Is this part of what we're talking about on whether or not people should be paying more for this catastrophic injury protection?
Yes, I'm so glad you raised that, 'cause that's really the whole point of my blog is, Michigan for years had, for people who were involved in a terrible crash, we really had the best insurance in the entire country. And then in 2019, we had these major changes to the law. Changes, by the way, that the Cure CEO, Eric Poe, brags about that he helped write, that really took away a lot of what's best about Michigan no fault, took away a lot of these critical protections for people. And then it also allowed people now to choose what level of insurance they want. And I've always been fine with that if people make an educated, informed choice. But that's not what's happening here with Cure. The reason I've always been against the 2019 changes to our no-fault law is because we gave up so much, but we're still paying the highest insurance in the country. So the only real winners, and this is just factual, but the real winners are the insurance industry in Michigan, which was making pretty much excessive profits before 2019, and now they're making even higher profits at the expense of protections for drivers. But what I would say to your listening public as an auto accident attorney is, no one ever thinks that a horrible catastrophic crash is going to happen to them or to their family. But, every time we're on the road, we're kind of playing Russian roulette. You never know if the driver behind you is texting and driving or driving impaired or isn't going to stop at that speed light. And for the very, very relative difference in cost, as an auto accident attorney who sees the consequences of what happens to people who don't have this coverage, I always recommend it, because just because you lose your no-fault PIP coverage because you choose or elect a lower policy limit, it doesn't mean your injuries just magically go away, right? You're still hurt. You still need medical care. And for a lot of people, they don't have health insurance either at all, or good health insurance that's going to pay for the critical medical care that people need after a bad crash. So what happens in those situations, and I see this unfortunately all the time, is people then have to turn to their own personal savings. And when that gets exhausted, they have to declare personal bankruptcy and they lose everything.
So people call and they compare prices on insurance because insurance is high. Are you saying that then Cure in this case is recommending getting rid of that coverage to lower the number so that their estimate comes in lower?
So what Cure is doing, I believe, is they are preying upon the relative unsophistication of people by not fully informing them of the consequences of driving with these much lower limits. So, for example, there's been all sorts of media interviews where they've bragged that only 6% of Cure customers drive with unlimited no fault. That's actually much lower than the industry average. And again, what happens with these people is, everyone wants to save money. God knows, I've been writing about how people can save money with insurance for the last 15 years. It's a really important issue that I believe in. But people also have to know the consequences of what happens to them and their family if they do choose these much lower policies. And it's not just PIP. It's not just medical care if you get terribly hurt. It's also, that if people opt to get lower bodily injury coverage if they cause a crash, because they don't quite understand that what happens is if you have a home, if you have a good job, if you have assets, that's all going to be at risk. You could lose everything. And we're talking about the difference of such small dollars to really fully protect you and your family that as a consumer protection advocate, I always recommend that for the price of dinner and a movie, it's really worth it. It's really worth fully protecting your family.
We only have a minute left, but what do you? I assume you're going to continue on unless some court tells you can't.
Yeah, this is. I mean, to me, there are two issues here. It's First Amendment free speech. It's about me having the right to educate and inform the public. And, unfortunately, it's about Cure trying to use this lawsuit as a intimidation tool to try and hide damaging but truthful and factual information from the public. So I'm going to fight it all the way.
All right. Steve Gursten, attorney at Michigan Auto Law. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your side of the story. We really, really appreciate the information as well. It's really important stuff.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
All right. Have a great day. We'll take a quick break. You're listening to All Talk on WJR.